Trick or treat, motherfuckers. It has been so many years since I have seen Halloween Resurrection, probably since it came out originally in theaters. And I thought this was the perfect time to revisit this movie. I ended up rewatching H2O a few weeks ago, and it's one of those movies where I think the story is better than anything in the actual movie itself. The killings and Michael himself just kind of suck. But I wanted to revisit Resurrection because, again, it's a part of the Halloween franchise, is one of those movies that I just haven't seen a lot. I remember watching it on what TNT whenever it would come out on TV. I wouldn't say that I liked it. It was one of those guilty pleasure movies. So I was interested to see how I would feel about this movie nowadays. And there's a reason why it took the better part of 5 years for them to make another Halloween movie, because they just completely shit the bed with this movie. So I will say this. There's two ways to look at this movie. One being it is so bad that it is good, and the other, this is such an atrociously made Halloween film that it is probably, without a doubt, the worst movie of the series. I would put it in the conversation of one of the worst, not only slasher films of all time, but worst horror movies of all time. This movie has no redeeming qualities. Nothing in this movie makes me say, man, I wish they would continue that aspect, continue that idea, and probably a different Halloween or Michael Myers story. I would be completely okay with that. And that thought never crosses my mind in this movie. We go from H2O to Resurrection. And we learned that Michael was not the one that was killed in H2O, that he swapped bodies with somebody else. And that is who Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, ends up killing at the end of H2O. The ending to H2O, which was a good ending. I mean, when you think about it, you have shot him, you have caught him on fire, you have done so many things to this guy to try to kill him. And without a doubt, he does not die. So what is the one way that you can kill him? Just de facto, never come back, and that is just chop a dude's head off. Well, we did that in H2O, which was a satisfying conclusion to that storyline. Regardless of how you feel about the rest of the movie, I thought the ending to that was really earned, and I thought it was just an absolute conclusion to the Halloween series and the Laurie Strode storyline. But then you get to Halloween Resurrection, and it just shits all over that ending, and basically it feels like one of those soap opera style stories where it's like, oh no, but guess what? He's still alive. And that to me just felt like the ultimate betrayal as a Halloween fan. Like, you just, I get it. You want to keep making these movies, but you know what? H2O would have been the perfect time to end it, and then wait a few years, do the Rob Zombie remake or reboot series, and start all over again with a new cast, maybe a new character, or even go like the Season of the Witch style, where you start making like an anthology style series, which I don't think is necessarily a bad idea with where they need to take this Halloween series going forward. But I just felt hoodwinked by the ending to H2O and then the beginning of Resurrection. And not only do you bring him back for Resurrection, you bring Laurie Strode into to a mental hospital, and okay, that's fine. But you kill her off within the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie. You kill off one of the most important characters to this series, the most important character outside of Michael Myers himself. And it's crazy that you bring him back just so you can kill her, and then give us a whole new set of characters inside this haunted house. Basically, that's legitimately what it is. It's a deconstruction of the home invasion style horror genre. They just completely went about this the wrong way from the very beginning to the very end. Now, you might sit there and think to yourself that, hey, you know what? At least they did something different. It's not just Michael chasing him throughout the city or whatever. At least it's something different. And I get that. I get that argument, but what they gave us was absolute hot dog water, just absolute garbage of a plot. Now, personally, I think the whole her getting him to the rooftop to try to kill him and then, oh, let me just make sure one more time and to try to take off his mask. Like, bro, I get it. I get the argument behind her, like the reasoning behind her wanting to look under the mask, which is I need to verify that this is him this time. Um, yeah, but let me just say you have just completely ruined how strong of a character she was in H2O. She was a badass in H2O. I love what they did with her character in that movie where, yeah, she's still struggling with the fact that he may still come after her. He may not be dead. And after all those years, she's still dealing with the PTSD of that. And first, on one hand, it is similar to the 2018 movie with what they did with that. They just went like further to the extreme with it. But I like what they did with Laurie's character in that. And when he finally does show up in H2O, she's like, nah, this is it. I'm going after him. And she's taking the fight to Michael Myers, which I love that about Laurie Strode's character. But you have just completely disregarded what that character has done over the years. And you make her do the dumb decision of let me reach out over this ledge to where the dude holding a fucking knife is still holding the knife. All he has to do is grab me. There's nothing that prevents him from grabbing me at any point. It is just one of the most baffling, just dumb ass decisions a character has made in a horror movie that I've seen in a very long time. Is it the dumbest decision that I've seen in a horror movie? I don't know about that, but it's up there, especially with a character like Laurie Strode. If you did that to a one-off character, I don't know, like the one of the guards at the very beginning of this movie, if you did it with that, okay, that was a stupid move. That's just your typical horror movie where one of the characters just does something stupid. It's a typical horror cliche. But Laurie Strode, of all fucking people, that's the person you make do the dumb decision. I will never forgive this movie for doing that to such an iconic character and probably the greatest scream queen of all time. But nonetheless, that's only the first, 15 minutes of the movie. You still have another hour and a half of this just dog shit movie where we finally go back to his house and they're doing like a reality TV stunt and they want all these people to spend the night in Michael Myers' home to try to figure out what happened to him as a child and try to figure out why maybe he killed his sister. Well, let me tell you, I get it from a perspective of this probably, if this was in really great hands, maybe the movie would have worked. The issue is a lot of this movie revolves around just dumb decisions that were made from a filmmaker perspective. And what I mean by that is we have this found footage style horror movie mixed in with your typical Halloween style story. And it's just completely off-putting. On a personal level, it just does not work for me. I find it very uninteresting. Now, maybe if they would have done something with the characters and made them actually enjoyable and gave us like really good, well-rounded characters, hell, it's a horror movie. I'm not expecting the best of the best in terms of who these characters are, but make them interesting. Give me reasons to either root for or against them dying, for one. And none of these characters, I don't give a shit what happens to them one way or another. And for all these characters, I don't give a shit what happens to them one way or the other. In fact, like the main chick, couldn't even tell you her name. I legitimately do not give a shit what happened to her throughout the movie. And that to me is one of the big issues with the movie is you just make me not care about any of these characters with the exclusion of Busta Rhymes' character. And it's not because he's this overall like great horror character and you want to see more of him in the other movies or anything like that. I think for this movie specifically, he's fine. But just hear me out. He is fine within the context of Halloween Resurrection. If you throw him in to Halloween H2O or to another Halloween movie, it doesn't fucking work. I think the reason why Busta Rhymes works in this movie is because this movie is so poorly written. It is so silly. It's so campy. It is definitely one of the worst written Halloween movies, I think, from dialogue to a screenwriting perspective and all that. I think this is definitely one of the worst written movies in the franchise. You could argue that it is the actual worst, but to put him in any movies, I don't think would actually work. The only reason he works is because everything else around him is just even more silly than he is. The only way his character works in this movie is because he takes it to level 10 in terms of how campy and silly his character is. And he feeds into that energy. And it's just like, hey, I know I'm in a shitty movie. I'm going to have fun. And it looks like Busta Rhymes is having fun the entire time that he is on screen. In fact, I wish he was on screen more, which is crazy considering I think like how much I think this movie is just pure stupidity from beginning to end. I don't like camp. I don't like silliness in my horror movies. I just don't. But if you're gonna swing for the fences in terms of it's so bad it's good, Busta Rhymes is the guy to do it. And I just think even though he went a little too far with his character, I mean the ninja karate stuff in this movie with him even going so far as to make the noises, like that's all super fucking silly and I just rolled my eyes at it for sure. But he did give us some good lines. I mean, trick or treat motherfucker is great. And he's even talking shit to Michael Myers the entire time by calling him Mikey. Like, I'm on board with some of that stuff. It's like that's the most entertaining aspect of the entire movie, to say the least. But other than him, the other characters are just I couldn't tell you a single name of any of these characters. I couldn't tell you any of their personalities. This is I don't know. Is this the horniest Halloween that we've had? And I really don't feel like we even had any like sex scenes. We had one sex scene in this movie, but it still feels like to me this is the most blue balls esque Halloween movie that we have gotten. Like I know there's been sex in all the other movies and shit. Rob Zombie takes it to like level 10 in terms of a sex, but this one in particular, it's like multiple of them have made passes at one another, but there's really only one sex scene and it doesn't even really go that far. So it's like nothing but blue balls like the entire time. And it's like they threw that shit in there just to say, well, it's like they threw that shit in there just to say, well, we got to have sex. We got to have some tits in there. Like that is the whole point for any of that in this movie. If they would have just disregarded all of that and just said, hey, we're just going to make a home invasion, haunted house style Halloween movie, okay, sign me up. Like, okay. Like that's what you want to do. You're throwing in some of this. If they wanted to say, okay, hey, look, we're gonna make a super serious home invasion style movie where it's like there's haunted house style going on. If they had said, look, we want to make a deconstructed home invasion movie where it's the characters going inside the house, they think it's abandoned, but Michael Myers is there, and then none of them can escape, like, okay, that's fine. You want to make it super serious? By all means, go right ahead. But the second you start throwing in sex just to say you want sex in the movie, like, I think that was just like you're just putting in there just because you have to at this point. And there needs to be a reason for not only that, but for all the stupid shit that happens in this movie. And none of it makes sense. I will say this. I do like Michael Myers and his mask a little bit more in this movie than I did H2O. I think the H2O mask is just garbage. I hate the mask to H2O. It looked so fucking it looked like a fan who didn't have any money went out and bought like a $5 mask from the store and brought it to set, and that's what they used. It didn't look like a high quality mask whatsoever. And then they had H2O had something weird with the eyes, and it was just like, okay, I fuck, what the fuck are you doing with the eyes this entire movie? Now, I think they got that a little bit better in Resurrection, And to continue off that point, I think some of the more Michael Myers-esque like performance is better in this movie than the last. He feels more imposing. He feels more like an unstoppable force. And I love that we kind of brought back that aspect to the series with this movie. I do like that, but you just don't get enough of it by any means. And to cap this entire review off, we have this idea of everything being live streamed because it's like I'm telling you, it's like a found footage style movie with home invasion aspects of it, and they're live streaming this entire night. And you have this dude Deckard who is texting the main character, and he's like, oh, he's coming up the stairs, he's back in the house. And it's just like, at some point, it's almost like you cut all the tension out at all when you have another character telling another character, hey, he's in the hallway. Okay, so I know he's coming. Like you cut out all the tension there, and that to me is one of the big issues with the whole live streaming thing. And then you have this whole thing of he's texting her, but it's coming across like, I don't know what the whole thing was with it spelling one word out at a time, like in the message. I don't know what that was all about. That was weird. It's like she's reading this and she's like, okay. And then like 5 minutes later, she gets to read the entire message. It's like Michael Myers is already in the fucking room. I'm sorry. So overall, I believe I haven't watched the other ones in a long time. So I'm going to end up making my way through the Halloween series for sure, especially the Rob Zombie movies, because I want to give those another shot. But as far as Resurrection, a movie that I haven't seen, and I'm telling y'all guys, it's probably been 20 years at least since I've seen this movie. I'm telling y'all guys, it's probably been about 20 I'm telling y'all guys, it's probably been 20, 25 years since I have seen Halloween Resurrection, which when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, god damn, I'm getting old, you know? But it's just like, I didn't go into this movie really expecting much. I knew it was going to be a bad movie, but revisiting just definitely confirms to me that this is, without having watched all the other movies, you have to put this in consideration for one of the worst slasher movies, one of the worst horror movies of all time. You can go on Letterboxd and follow me there, and I have a ranking list of every horror movie that I have seen since I started this channel, and this is definitely near the bottom of that list. But guys, what did you think of Halloween Resurrection? Let me know down in the comments below. Is it a guilty pleasure for you? Is it definitely one of the worst movies of all time? Let me know your thoughts down below. And what is your favorite Halloween movie? Let me know down below. And while you're there, hit that like and subscribe button. That really helps us out and really helps us grow this channel. And with all that being said, I appreciate y'all joining us, and I will catch y'all next time on the next episode. Laters.